This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharp. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so I can answer. So I am coming on quickly. I'm just focusing on questions today. So put your questions in the comments. While I wait for you to put your questions in the comments, what I will say is if you want to get in touch with us to get started, to take action, to at least understand what your options are, you need to make sure that you call us and talk to the staff at the office. I believe we have staff even right now who are answering the phones, who can take your information, and then we can schedule time. My schedule is filling up, so get on it. And my goal is to help as many people as possible, but that's not going to happen unless you get on my schedule. All right, so put those questions in the comments. Hi, I want to marry my friend from Nigeria, but he's an engineer to come over on the work visa or fiance. So is it better to come over on the work visa or the fiance visa? So, I guess, are you trying to decide between the fiance visa or the work visa? It depends. If he has ready access to get the work visa because he has an employer, he's in the middle of the process, that could be an option. But if you are in a particular position to be able to, you're a U.S. citizen and you're able to petition for him through the fiance visa, then that's an option. The work visa is going to depend on what kind. Is it a H-1B? What kind of visa is it? The fiance visa, I would say, expect about 1.5 to 2 years of a process. The work visa, the times can vary. So it just depends on what he's looking at. Is it a work visa or a green card? So there's a lot to unpack there, and that's where you need to talk to us in a consultation. I always go home to Jamaica. I want to apply for citizenship. How long should I be in the country to file? 5 years if you received it through, family, employment, and then 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Then you'll be able to apply. And thanks for the love, by the way, on Instagram and on TikTok. Thanks. And I see Facebook. Hi there. It's nice to see you. I'm a victim of DV, and last week I was to have the biometrics appointment. My question is, I will interview to receive work permit or social security. So the biometrics is a quick appointment. It's 15 minutes. You're in, you're out. They take your picture. They make you sign a document with your signature, and they take your fingerprint, and that's it. It's not an interview. So you won't be interviewed for the work permit or social. Usually they make a decision and then send it in the mail. When will the diversity lottery program, I guess, move forward? So that is to be determined. Should visa overstayers avoid the airport? No. So what I often say is the airport, if you are, you're worried about enforcement, ICE, the airport is definitely one of those places where you're going to see a ton of ICE agents. And along with that, the visibility of the ICE agents, the risk goes up as well. I had my interview last year, December. The officer said the application is approved, but I still haven't received my green card. I'm from Zimbabwe, and it's one of the countries on pause. That's why. So they are doing interviews for countries that are on pause, that are on hold, but they are not issuing the actual benefit. And so, if you're on the list, they're not going to issue the final benefit until the ban is lifted. I'm married for over 5 years. I have a 10-year. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen for 5 years, you have the green card for you've had the green card for 3 years, then you can apply for citizenship. Can an approved I-130 help with VAWA? Yes. So it is evidence of bona fide marriage. So it helps in that respect, that it fulfills the bona fide marriage evidence. All right, I'm on TikTok. So let me scroll through. I'm Ghanaian. Can I adjust my status since Ghana is part of immigrant visa hold? Yes. If you are here in the United States, you can still adjust your status. There is no pause on a country, no pause on adjustment of status if you're a citizen of a country, of one of those 75 countries, unless it's on the banned list, of course. But if it's not on the banned list, you have an immigrant visa pause right now, adjustment of status is going to be the next best option. So give us a call and talk to us, though, because every case is different. You want to make sure your particular facts qualify you. All right. Thanks for the love. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of those support me. I see a number of long time watchers. Nixland, hi there. Rich Bennett, hi there. Piero, hi. Cope 2025, hi there. So I can't call everybody, but thanks so much for being a long time watcher. Is the 1K fiance visa on pause due to the ban? So it's going to depend on the country. So some countries have partial bans. And so I'd have to check that to see if there is a pause on a particular visa, like non-immigrant visas in some of those countries. If the judge authorized you for removal, but you're still here if you're married to someone, so if you were ordered removed, you're still here, you're married, you're gonna have to go back to the court and have your case reopened and either have that case terminated, or even have the judge do the adjustment of status. But there's no getting around it. Marrying a U.S. citizen isn't going to fix a removal order, unfortunately. Aside from those countries are calling for interviews are still happening. As a matter of fact, guys, interviews are happening they're scheduling interviews much sooner. So after filing, we're seeing interviews for marriage, family-based cases being scheduled at about 2 to 3 months after filing. And a part of that is their emphasis on fraud detection, right? So it means that going into that interview, they want to know from early on, they want to get a feel for whether your case is a fraudulent case. And so you need to go in there, you need to make sure you go in there ready to prove to be able to convince the officer that you should be getting an approval instead of being red flagged. But that's part of the reason why these interviews are being scheduled sooner. I applied for asylum, came here legally, and I did it in 2024. Yes, so that's fine. How long to get VAWA work permit after obtaining a prima facie determination? Go to uscis.gov, look at the processing times for the I-765 form. So look at I-765, you'll see the range of time work permits are taking now. I married from last year, September, and went back home to Jamaica. I can't adjust my status from because of the current ban. What can I do? Yep, you can't adjust your status in Jamaica. If you're here in the US, then you can make a decision as to whether you want to stay to be able to adjust the status. So I know you don't give timelines for the processing times. Yes, I don't because it tends to get everybody a little rabid. So and so please go look at the average processing times. Hi there, Neville. What happens if you apply for F1 change of status from a B1 while in the United States, but you're from a banned country? So they're gonna pause it. So banned countries, are subjected to the pause, and that can be a huge frustration because going from B1 to F1, you really are on a limited timeline. Um, No, there are ways. This is where you need to see. Definitely talk to an attorney if you're on an emergent timeline where you need to have this approved. Talk to an attorney. A mandamus may be required in a case like that. What happens if your case is removed from USCIS and sent to immigration court directly after filing for 2 years? So I don't know what case you have, but then it has to be adjudicated in the court, and it just depends, right? Procedurally, was that proper? If it wasn't proper, then maybe you'd have to challenge it. But it just depends. I mean, I don't even know what case you're referring to. Is it, for example, I-751 case? Is it asylum? Okay, it's an asylum case. So in the case, we are seeing many of those being transferred to the court, and it doesn't mean that it means that your case is going to be heard by a judge. And then also, many of them are being moved because of a missed appointment or some issue like that too. So whether or not it's proper is going to depend on a lot of facts here. F2B visa, is there a time frame for processing? If you go to National Visa Bulletin, you'll see the year that they're currently processing. That's going to give you an idea of how long you have to wait. All right. Happy Sunday. My work permit is expired, but I got a receipt notice to show it's processing. It's been a while since I got that notice with the ban that's happening. Will they renew? So now, if you're from a country that's on the banned list, then of course that's on the work permit. You're not going to see the work permit come very quickly. If you're not from a country on the banned list, then you should be getting your work permit, and just look at the timelines to expect it. Hi there, Angel. Yes, it is a nice evening here. Good evening. USCIS deny my case because my husband submit his most recent tax return, which is 2025, but they're saying he didn't submit his 2024. What is the way forward? Um, as in he didn't file it, because that's weird. Usually they need the most recent tax return. Now, keep in mind, if the officer was erroneous in their decision, then there are ways to appeal it or have it reconsidered. So that has to be on the table, and this is where having a consultation is going to be crucial, because you know if you provided the most recent tax return, that's all you need. If your spouse did not file their 2024, that may be another issue. But if they filed their 2024, they just didn't submit it with the affidavit of support, then, but they submitted the 2025, something is a little iffy there. So get a consultation, and there's a limited amount of time to appeal if you need to appeal or refile. Before, remember, now they're issuing notices to appear for certain denied cases, so you want to jump on that very quickly. What is the next step for a person who redo biometrics for a VAWA case should look out for? So just the next step. If you applied for a work permit, then look out for the work permit. I am from a country on the banned list, so yes, the work permit is gonna be paused. But keep in mind, still submit your work permit applications, because it does not mean that you're ineligible. It just means it's on pause. And thanks again on Instagram for the love. I appreciate it. All right. So even if you're married to someone in the military and you're in removal, you're staying. So if you're in removal, you're married to someone in the military, then you have to go through the process. The judge, I don't know if your spouse is a U.S. citizen, but the judge can do adjustment of status as well through the court. So you may have some relief there. Can anything be done about an early deportation while my order of removal case was in appeal with the BIA? So in a case like that, it's not going to be or if you're already deported, it's going to definitely be a higher challenge. So it's probably going to be a challenge in federal court in order to get you back. So you definitely have to consult with an attorney on that. Going through naturalization, did my last step biometrics 4626 checked on USCIS app, and it says, and I don't see the right processing. How long does it take? Go to uscis.gov, go to case processing times, and you'll see it there. You see the range of time to expect. If my J1 waiver is not approved and my J2 husband has an approved I-140, can we appeal? So you cannot appeal. Appeal if something changes, you can definitely resubmit for the waiver request, but there is no appeal for that. How long will the EAD approval for AOS if married to a US citizen despite the 39 countries ban? If you're on the banned list, the work permit probably is on hold. Still submit that application, but it's on pause. So it's not very predictable on the timeline. File T visa March 2025, got biometrics last year. Haven't heard anything since. Yes, that's a part of, unfortunately, are not outside of processing times. Can anything be, so I answered that. Does being denied your visitor visa from Jamaica affect the approval of your K1 visa? It depends on why you were denied the visitor's visa. If you were denied the visitor's visa because you just didn't have strong enough ties to Jamaica, then that should not affect the K1 visa. But if there's an inadmissibility, another type of inadmissibility, so for example, there's a misrepresentation or fraud involved, then you definitely have another issue. So it just depends. If you have a VAWA case, 33 months now, and they just denied your travel parole, is it bad or good? It doesn't necessarily, I don't know why they denied your advance parole, but it doesn't necessarily have to have a bearing on your VAWA. Going through naturalization, did my last step biometrics, checked on USCIS, it says processing. So go look at the N400 to see what the case processing times are right now. All right. Hi there, Nana. Thanks for watching. Oh, thanks for following. I appreciate that. Does it take long for immigration to review an arrest when you are a minor after the interview? So, not necessarily. Sometimes it can be quick. It just depends on what the facts are and if they're going to run extra background checks. Other than diversity visa and E1, how can someone migrate to the United States without marriage? So, there are various ways. There's so many ways. So I often say there's over more than 21 ways to get the green card, and so it just depends on how you qualify, what's going on in your background. You have highly unusual type of green cards, and you have very common ones like the marriage-based one. So it just depends though on what are your facts, and this is where it's important to schedule time to talk to an attorney to determine if you qualify for any of those ways. What is the waiting for the I-130? Go to uscis.gov and you will see the range of time for the I-130. Just go case processing times and you'll see the range of time, the maximum range of time that you'd expect to wait. All right. I'm on Instagram, so put your questions in the comments so I can answer those questions. Looking for those questions. What month for 2022 do you see VAWA getting approved? So when it comes to processing times, I don't usually just go look at the case processing times. You'll see the length of time, the maximum length of time, and then you can estimate the time to wait. I have a friend from Jamaica who has a 10-year visa, but it's going to be expired in November because of the ban. Can she renew it and get a visa, or she has to wait? The ban is only for immigrant visas, not non-immigrant visas. So the 10-year visitor's visa is not subject to the pause, to that immigrant visa pause. All right, I'm back on Instagram. Go ahead, put your questions in the comments so I can answer them. I'm scrolling through, waiting to get those questions. Does it take a long? I'm on TikTok. I'll get back to Instagram. Does it take long for immigration to review? So I answered that. It's possible. It just depends. They may run extra background checks if necessary. They may issue additional requests for evidence. So it just depends. It can take a week or it could take months. They denied my form I-130. The problem was my wife was married before and she didn't do the divorce. If that's the case, definitely get in touch with us and Let's talk about whether she knew that, was she aware of that, because you may have relief there through VAWA. So if someone, uh, you know, subjects you to this situation where they were married and they just go ahead and just marry you and go through the whole shebang with you, um, and knowing that your marriage is not valid, then you can apply for VAWA. Does name change delay anything? Not necessarily. It just, I guess I would have to understand where you are in the process. I'm married and I put my paperwork in. I got a work permit and an advance parole. My husband is abusive. I want to file for VAWA. Get in touch with us. Let's definitely discuss it and get a move on. Especially, I say, whenever you filed a case already and you're in a situation where you need to be out of it, you need to get in touch and talk to us and get started because it's urgent at that point. Uh, what are some good evidence to support RFE for VAWA, please? So request for evidence, it varies and the evidence is going to vary. One thing that we should never do with immigration is we can't treat a one size fits all. So even evidence that may work for someone in their RFE may not work for you. And so we have to read specifically what they're asking and determine whether it's a valid request for evidence or if it's something that we can challenge or is it something we can simply provide. I've gotten requests for evidence for some things really simple like a birth certificate. You know, and then it can get more complicated. And so it just depends, right? So if I said a birth certificate would be a good response to RFE in that case, but not in your case because they're not asking for a birth certificate. So it's important to look at what they're asking for and make sure you're presenting that the best quality of documentation in response to that request for evidence. Seeing that the T visa is a non-immigrant visa, will someone outside get their visa from the 75 countries? Yes. So if they're subject to the immigrant visa pause and they're not on the banned list, the T visa will still be issued because it's a non-immigrant visa. Is it best to marry a citizen in or out of the US? Often, it's going to depend on what works for you. So, for instance, if you're here, you're visiting, you're from one of the countries that's now subject to the immigrant visa ban, I would say it's best to just get married here in the US and do adjustment of status. But in other cases, maybe because of personal preferences, they don't want to do that. You don't, you want to get married, you want to do consular processing, and maybe you get married in that country. So it really comes down to strategy on what the situation is, where you are right now, what do you prefer personally. It's going to depend on those. Can I withdraw my I-751 and N-400 case from USCIS despite having done the citizenship interview? I guess that definitely is a conversation that you need to have with your attorney to determine, because if you withdraw both your I-751 and especially the I-751, then it means that you're giving up your ability to get the 10-year green card. Eventually, you're gonna be stripped of your 10-year green card. So I guess the question is, why would you want to withdraw that application? And then, strategically, does that make sense? Why is USCIS not issuing employment card but calling for interviews straight away after biometrics? Because they're still processing it. So and keep in mind their focus is fraud detection, fraud screening. So they're still doing interviews because a part of their process is the interview is a part of the fraud screening. They're placing a lot of emphasis on that. But eventually, when the pause is lifted, they will then have that interview already. They'll have processed everything to just make a decision. Married 2 years last week, but we haven't filed yet. We do long distance. I am caregiver to a parent. So this, I mean, it can definitely be a red flag, and the officer will have questions. It's not to say your case is impossible, but this is where, when you are living long distance for things like school or work, you need to shore up the other types of evidence to show that you are, in fact, in a bona fide marriage and you do plan to come together as a married couple. Give us a call. Let's talk, and then we can move forward. I mean, it's you're well overdue to get your permanent residence. Just do it right, and you can give us a call and let's work on it. What are the steps I need to do from F1 to EB3 once a company sponsors me? So the labor certification process is going to be the first step, and then the petition. They're going to file the petition. If you have a current priority date, you have to file your adjustment of status at the same time. All right. So on Instagram, letter from previous address, letter of the abuse, and proof of good faith marriage. Okay, so it also still depends on, though, on what your marriage looks like. What were the facts in your case? Because at the point of the request for evidence, chances are they want more evidence to back up the facts that you had submitted. So it's really going to come down to what evidence. Whenever we have issues like that, we meet with a client and we try to we figure out what do they have that we can use to respond. So it's really heavily dependent on the individual. Okay. Hi there, Napo. It's nice to see you. Will I get my I-765 approved, and I am from the 39 band. So hopefully eventually, but it is on pause. So those benefits like the work permit are on pause right now. Um, Hopefully we'll see a change soon. The form I-134 form, if the W-2 is less than the required due to maternity leave, what should we do? So you'd have to, I know I'm not your attorney. I can't give you personalized legal advice. But the point is, you have to show that you're currently making, or the petitioner is currently making that amount. So an employment letter, pay stubs showing that the pay that's coming in is now sufficient is going to be key there. My wife hides my kids' papers. She was the one filing for them. So this is definitely a situation where you need to talk to us. We need to talk about possibility of FAWA here. So I need to hear more to confirm that you qualify, but that's serious. If your spouse is hiding papers, there are a number of possible options that we could look at. So I'd want to understand here the facts. Get in touch with us ASAP. My schedule is filling up, guys. So if you want to take action and come up with solutions and move forward with your papers, get on my schedule so we can talk. but this is definitely a situation where we need to talk about it. I did the interview in January. So I did the interview in January, but I'm yet to hear from USCIS, and my wife is giving me troubles. So I think this is the same situation where, okay, so this was a situation where you want to withdraw the I-751, the N-400. And I'm so glad you brought this up because it just seems to be, I had 2 appointments yesterday alone about situations like this. And I would say here, I'm not your attorney. I can't give you personalized legal advice, but here's the deal. You don't have to give up your ability to get the 10-year green card because now your spouse is acting up. You have access to apply for a waiver that allows you to continue to move forward with your process. And you can apply for a waiver at any point in your process before a decision is made. So you can right now submit a waiver request saying you are applying on your own. And that will save you from losing your status and instead empowering yourself to move forward. Give us a call. We've done this. So give us a call and let's start. So please, please, please know this. If you have your 2-year you have your 2-year green card, your spouse starts to give problems, you're separated, it's not working out, you don't have to leave the country or give up your green card. You can apply for special waivers that would allow you to still maintain your permanent residence here. My wife filed as a green card holder. Now she filed 3 years. Now she filed 3 years now, still no approval. Now she's a citizen since January. I'm in Jamaica. Yeah, the wait can be frustrating. Usually they're supposed to upgrade it to notify National Visa Center that she's a US citizen. Unfortunately, we're now dealing with the immigrant visa ban that will cause further delays. So I'm so sorry. Um, but stay steady and just keep the faith, and hopefully we'll see something lifted soon. Okay, let's see here. My husband was a green card holder when he filed for me and the children along the line. He became a US citizen. When we get to the embassy, I was the only one that got the visa. So we have to understand more. Did they give you a reason? We need to understand the reason. Is it that the children now aged out? So that's what we have to figure out. Case transferred 2025. Case being transferred is just normal part of business. Okay. Going through, Yvonne, what happened when you miss? Okay. What happened if you miss your oath ceremony? Then you don't become a US citizen. You probably have to request it be rescheduled. My 2-year expires the first week of July. Is Monday too late for me to mail my paperwork? You can apply to remove the conditions on your 2-year green card within 90 days. So within 90 days before it expires, you can actually submit it. Can I get a work visa in the USA even without work? Usually not a work visa. Work permits, if you're applying for certain benefits, work permits, but a work visa you have to get outside of the US and an employer is usually involved. Hi there, Kirker. How long after you can file for your green card after the visa approval. So if this is a T visa, then you're looking at 3 years after 3 years after getting the T visa, you can apply for permanent residence. What happens if you were scheduled for interview but was to change over to VAWA? Do I go to the interview? So in some cases, yes. So our experience is that the interview has been canceled because of the fact that the VAWA process now takes precedence, and it has to be processed before an adjustment of status. But if it cannot be canceled on time, it's best, and I'm not your attorney. This is where, it's very strategic, but in some cases, it's best to go to the interview to inform them about the VAWA filing and to request the abeyance, meaning to put the adjustment of status on hold until the VAWA is decided. I'm TPS holder, came to US through CP1 pending I-130 to US citizen, but I'm in removal proceedings. So, that it's complicated because you have a number of things going on. But it has to be dealt with in the court first. Good afternoon. Can I travel to another state on the plane with my work permit and my real ID? So I would say you can travel with your work permit, your real ID. However, just make sure you're aware of what's in your background, just to ensure you are not at an increased risk. A lot of people, for example, have removal orders that they don't know about. If you have a removal order, even if you have a work permit, they may target you and try to detain you. And so you just want to make sure that you understand your individual risk. Will I get my I-765 approved? And I am from the 39 banned countries, so you can expect it to be paused until that pause is lifted. All right, I'm gonna be on, let me see, I'm on Instagram again. I was told he should put in an I-130 for the children, but unfortunately, we are among 39 countries on hold. What can we do? So I'm not sure. Let's see. Somebody told you to put in an I-130. So my husband was a green card holder when he filed for me and the children. Along the line, he became a U.S. citizen. When we get to the embassy, I was the only one that got the visa. So, okay, so you must have gotten a visitor's visa then, I'm assuming. But here's where I don't want you all to be confused, right? Just because you're on the banned list does not mean that you don't apply for what you qualify for. Still move forward with it, just expecting that there's going to be a pause, that it's not going to be moving forward for now. But please make sure that you don't, for example, the I-130 petition, the ban does not stop the USCIS from still adjudicating the I-130. So still move forward with what you qualify for. I got approved by NVC for my daughter 0409. So how long do you think I need to wait for the interview? So while I don't control interview processing times or it depends on the embassy. on average, I would say a year and a half is the wait time for an interview. It may be shorter, maybe longer even, but I'd say that's the average timeline. All right. Can you apply for early green card from T Visa and how long is the process? Yes, there is a way to apply. It's a two-step process. First, you have to get permission from the Department of Justice to apply. And then afterwards, you get the permission, then you can submit the adjustment of status application. So it can shave off about a year of waiting, versus say you wait 2 years instead of the 3 years, to apply for the green card. Okay, so my friend has a DUI. I think that's a DUI, 15 years ago. He has a green card, but is afraid to travel outside of the country. So I can't say, can he still travel? That is a serious question to ask on a live, just because there's a lot at stake. And yes, he is right to be that cautious about traveling. What I would say is, one DUI usually does not render you inadmissible. It can be an issue at the naturalization interview, though. In order to get citizenship, it may not be deportable, but it can lead to basically denial of your citizenship now, the way that they're evaluating good moral character. So I'd have to understand the facts, though, to determine whether whether I would advise against travel. But there's certainly a right to take pause here. All right. Thanks again, guys, for your time. I really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow to answer some more questions and to give you updates where their updates are due. So until then, have a good rest of the Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.